Apollo 11 quarantine. In the summer of 1969, when astronauts Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and Michael Collins made their historic lunar landing, they didn't just take one giant leap for mankind. They also unknowingly embarked on a journey that held an eerie secret, a tale of cosmic quarantine that wasn't quite what it seemed. Back on Earth, President Richard Nixon welcomed the returning astronauts in NASA's specially constructed moon quarantine chamber, meant to shield our planet from potential lunar pathogens. An iconic photo captured the moment. However, a recent study from Georgetown University more than half a century later hints at the possibility that Nixon might have been in harm's way. The lead author of the study, Dagmar de Groot, revealed in 2023 that the Apollo quarantine protocol had its share of containment breaches, which, had lunar microorganisms truly existed, might have exposed Earth to contamination. Luckily, though, celestial fortune was on our side, as the chance of microscopic life inhabiting the moon was slim to none, and NASA, of course, had calculated for this. Despite spending over $100 million on anti-contamination measures during the 1960s, the post-return protocol of the Apollo mission was flawed and was kept hidden from the public eye. The Lunar Receiving Laboratory, a high-tech quarantine facility, saw astronaut suits leak and its sterilizing equipment malfunction. And on top of all that, moon dust proved impossible to clean. In reality, the laboratory was unnecessary, as the astronauts were instructed to open their shuttle's hatch in the Pacific Ocean upon return, where any potential pathogens would dissipate. John Rummel, a former NASA planetary protection officer, explained, "If lunar organisms capable of reproducing in the Earth's ocean had been present, we would have been toast." But NASA's focus was elsewhere. They concentrated on addressing technical flaws that could jeopardize Apollo 11's success in space, prioritizing high-probability risks over remote existential threats. Fast forward to today as we prepare for Mars missions. Mars, unlike the Moon, offers a higher probability of hosting alien life. Recent research suggests the possibility of ancient microbes buried beneath its surface. The same underlying philosophy, prioritizing the likely over the unlikely, applies to a variety of challenges we face, from nuclear weapons to artificial intelligence, and even climate change. The infamous Watergate scandal. In the depths of American politics, the Watergate scandal unfolded as a web of deceit and an abuse of power that shook the nation's core. In 1972, the United States found itself in the throes of division and conflict, with the Vietnam War casting a shadow over the nation. President Richard M. Nixon, seeking re-election, was determined to secure his position, and his campaign took on an aggressive edge. Within this tumultuous climate, illegal espionage reared its head, and members of Nixon's committee to re-elect the president, humorously dubbed CREEP, orchestrated a break-in at the Democratic National Committee's Watergate headquarters in May of 1972. The committee's mission was to pilfer top-secret documents and bug the office's phones. However, the wiretaps faltered, leading to a return visit by 5 burglars on June 17th. As they readied themselves to infiltrate the office with a new microphone, a vigilant security guard spotted tampering with door locks, which triggered a call to the police. And luckily, just in the nick of time, the authorities arrived to catch the culprits in the act. Initially, it remained unclear whether these burglars had ties to the president, but suspicions began to creep in when detectives uncovered copies of the re-election committee's White House phone number among their possessions. In August of that year, Nixon vehemently denied any White House involvement in the break-in during a speech. His assertions garnered widespread belief, and in November 1972, he achieved a resounding re-election victory. But the truth was far murkier. Shortly after the break-in, though, Nixon facilitated the funneling of substantial hush money to the burglars. Subsequently, he and his aides hatched a scheme to enlist the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, in obstructing the FBI's investigation, an act more grave than the break-in itself. This constituted an abuse of presidential power and a blatant obstruction of justice. Amidst these covert maneuvers, 7 conspirators faced indictment related to the Watergate affair. At the behest of Nixon's advisors, 5 chose to plead guilty to avoid a trial, while the other 2 faced conviction in January 1973. As this unfolded, a growing number of individuals, including Judge John J. Sirica, Washington Post journalist Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, and Senate investigators, began to sense the existence of a larger conspiracy. Some of the conspirators themselves began to crack under the pressure of the cover-up, with an anonymous informant known as Deep Throat feeding critical information to Woodward and Bernstein. Several of Nixon's aides, including White House counsel John Dean, testified before a grand jury about the president's crimes, revealing the existence of secret recordings capturing every Oval Office conversation. Securing these tapes would establish irrefutable proof of Nixon's complicity. Throughout the summer and fall of 1973, Nixon grappled to safeguard the tapes. His legal team argued that executive privilege shielded them from scrutiny, but the Senate committee, Judge Sirica, and Special Prosecutor Archibald Cox were unwavering in their determination to obtain this vital evidence. The mysterious death of JFK. In the world of mysteries and conspiracies, few events have captured the imagination like the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. For Dr. Tony Glover, who witnessed the tragedy as an 11-year-old in Dallas, the memory remains vivid. Glover recalls hoping for a personal connection with Kennedy, a bit of magical thinking for a troubled child. She watched him pass by, saw his head explode, and her innocent world was shattered. Now a professor with a belief in facts, she acknowledges that while some conspiracy theories are outlandish, there are legitimate investigators who have raised questions about the beloved president's assassination. The official account of JFK's assassination tells us that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, firing from the Texas School Book Depository. But there are lingering doubts. Some believe a second shooter may have been involved, possibly from the grassy knoll or another location. Jefferson Morley, a former Washington Post reporter, doubts the official story as well. He points to the Zapruder film, the infamous silent recording of the assassination, suggesting that the fatal shot may have come from the front, not the rear. Morley has other reasons for skepticism as well, like Oswald's monitored history by the CIA's counterintelligence staff. Thomas Whalen, an associate professor, believes Oswald did shoot JFK, but raises the possibility of a broader conspiracy. Oswald's visit to the Soviet and Cuban embassies before the assassination are just a few reasons why these questions remain. Bruce Miroglio, a lawyer and extensive reader on the topic, supports the Warren Commission's conclusions. He doesn't believe in a second gunman and is skeptical of conspiracy theories. It's important to remember that while doubts linger and questions persist, no definitive proof of a government cover-up in the assassination of JFK has emerged. Still, though, the event remains a subject of curiosity and debate, a tragic moment frozen in time. But if in the future it's revealed that the CIA did, in fact, have some involvement in the death of JFK, what'll happen then? What are your thoughts when it comes to the JFK assassination? Was his death really the result of a madman with a gun? Or was the government involved somehow? Let us know what you think down below, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. Cointtel Pro. In the shadows of American history, there exists a covert operation known as Cointtel Pro, which stands for Counterintelligence Program. It was a secret initiative devised by the FBI to tackle political dissidents during a turbulent period in the nation's history. Emerging just 1 year after the formation of the Black Panther Party, Cointtel Pro was a covert program with a chilling purpose: to neutralize political heretics. Spanning from 1956 to 1971, it was a tool employed by the FBI to investigate various radical national political groups suspected of having ties to foreign enemies. And what's truly striking is that the program targeted American citizens themselves. The Cointtel Pro documents reveal that it honed in on 5 specific groups for investigation: white hate groups, the Communist Party, the Socialist Workers' Party, black nationalist hate groups, and the New Left. But among these, the Black Panther Party bore the brunt of the program's actions. One of the program's sinister objectives, as outlined in FBI documents, was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of the black nationalists. They aimed to prevent the emergence of a black messiah, and figures like Martin Luther King Jr. found themselves under scrutiny until King's assassination in 1968. After that, the program's focus shifted to Huey P. Newton. The sheer scale of Cointtel Pro's actions is striking, with 295 documented measures taken to disrupt black groups, of which a staggering 233 were specifically directed against the Black Panther Party. In his doctoral thesis, War Against the Panthers, a study of repression in America, Huey P. Newton accused J. Edgar Hoover and Cointtel Pro of sowing discord between him and Eldridge Cleaver through false letters and documents. This, in turn, fostered conflicts between the Black Panther Party and other black groups, leading to tragic events like the murders of Al Prentice Bunchy Carter and John Huggins at the University of California. Additionally, there were allegations of Cointtel Pro's involvement in the assassination of Fred Hampton, the charismatic leader of the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party in 1969. Cointtel Pro's existence, clouded in secrecy, reminds us of a dark chapter in American history when government agencies covertly surveyed and manipulated citizens and organizations they deemed a threat. It's a cautionary tale about the abuse of power and the importance of transparency and accountability in a democratic society. The truth behind Area 51. Area 51, the infamous and secretive military outpost nestled in the Nevada desert, has fascinated Americans for over half a century. But what's intriguing is that it was only officially acknowledged by the US government in 2013, adding fuel to the lore surrounding it. This remote desert patch, located some 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, is known for its association with extraterrestrial ships and little green men, despite its initial purpose during the Cold War being far less otherworldly. Today, Area 51 serves as a US Air Force training site, officially named the Nevada Test and Training Range. The base features some of the world's longest runways, making it a hotspot for military exercises. The closest town, Rachel, Nevada, boasts a population of just 54 people, emphasizing the secrecy that surrounds the area. The airspace above the base is also strictly off-limits, and warning signs discourage any would-be trespassers. Another interesting fact about Area 51 is how workers get there. Not by car, but by government-owned passenger jets operating under the name Janet Airlines. This airline shuttles to and from a mysterious destination in the Nevada desert. That destination is none other than Area 51, referred to in the past as Watertown, Yuletide, Dreamland, and Paradise Ranch. However, the story of Area 51 takes us back to its humble beginnings. Before World War II, the area wasn't much more than desert and salt flats. But with the outbreak of the war, it gained significance as an airstrip called Indian Springs Auxiliary Field No. 1. Then, in 1954, President Dwight D. Eisenhower's need for aerial reconnaissance over the Soviet Union led to the selection of Groom Lake as the perfect location for a top-secret surveillance plane project. Thus, Area 51 was born, initially dubbed Paradise Ranch by Lockheed engineer Kelly Johnson in an effort to make it sound more appealing. It quickly became a hub for classified airborne espionage operations, ultimately evolving into a full-fledged spy plane factory. Over the years, the CIA and Air Force developed several groundbreaking surveillance and attack aircraft at Area 51, including the iconic U-2 spy plane, the stealth F-117 Nighthawk attack aircraft, and the SR-71 Blackbird. While these projects are declassified, the base's true activities unfortunately remain clouded in secrecy. Area 51 also found itself at the center of UFO speculation. Reports of unidentified flying objects, including sightings by airline pilots, fueled rumors of extraterrestrial activity at the base. Operation Blue Book, initiated in 1952 by the Air Force to investigate UFO reports, did little to quell these rumors and often left civilians with vague explanations. The Area 51 UFO saga gained momentum when Bob Lazar, in a controversial 1989 interview, claimed to have worked at a base called Sector 4 near Area 51. He alleged the existence of underground facilities and the reverse engineering of an antimatter reactor-powered alien spaceship. Lazar's credibility remains questionable, but his claims added to the intrigue surrounding the base. If Area 51 was housing alien technology, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to suspect that the government would keep that information a secret. After all, they've lied to the American people plenty of times before.
In January of 1985, in a remote mining town in the far east of Russia, an extraordinary incident occurred. Some have likened it to the Roswell incident. It was a cold January day when a reddish sphere entered the town from the southeast, crossing part of the Delnogorsk before crashing into Izvestoye Mountain, also known as Height 611 due to its size. The sphere moved silently, parallel to the ground, measuring around 10 feet in diameter. It was perfectly round, and it was devoid of any protrusions or cavities. Witnesses, such as V. Kandakov, estimated the UFO's speed at approximately 50 feet per hour. The sphere exhibited an unusual behavior, slowly ascending and descending, with its glow intensifying when it rose. As it approached Height 611, it suddenly jerked and fell like a stone, an action that all witnesses described. Some even recounted seeing the vehicle jump twice, while 2 girls remember it jumping 4 times. Following the second jump, witnesses heard a faint, muffled thump, and the object burned brightly at the cliff's edge for an hour. A geological expedition, led by V. Skavinsky, confirmed the object's movements through various chemical and physical tests on the collected rocks. Dr. Zvuzhilny arrived at the site 2 days later to find the area covered in deep snow, with the crash site strangely devoid of snow. The crash site yielded fragments of silicate rocks exposed to high temperatures, resembling tiny nets. These so-called tiny nets that were recovered contained thin threads interwoven with even finer fibers and thin gold wires, and these materials proved difficult to reproduce using earthly technology. Iron balls at the site exhibited varying chemical compositions, suggesting that the object was a complex construction made from different alloys. But the convex glass-like structures on half of the balls baffled scientists. The glass-like structures remained an enigma, defying understanding of their structure and formation. The incident's impact extended beyond the crash itself, with an anomalous zone remaining active for 3 years. This zone deterred insects, disrupted mechanical and electronic equipment, and even made people ill. In the following years, more sightings of UFOs in the area occurred, and the mystery of Height 611 persisted. Japanese and Korean expeditions examined the site and sought to acquire fragments of the crashed object, reflecting ongoing interest in the case. Despite numerous investigations, the object's origins remains uncertain, with no conclusive evidence pointing to either terrestrial or extraterrestrial origins. However, there's been a long debate that, just like the Roswell incident in the US, bodies were recovered from the crash site. But then again, that's just speculation. This puzzling event, often overlooked, continues to intrigue a small community of researchers who are interested in its enigmatic details. They're not human. In May 2023, an unusual incident unfolded in Las Vegas, sparking a mix of curiosity and concern. It all began when an officer with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police captured a mysterious bright object streaking across the night sky on body camera footage at around 11:50 p.m. Then shortly after, a local resident made a frantic 911 call to report something out of this world in his backyard. The caller was visibly shaken, claiming that something 100% not human was staring at him and his family. They'd witnessed an object falling from the sky just before this eerie encounter. Describing the strange figures, the caller mentioned their extraordinary height, ranging from 8 to 10 feet, with big shiny eyes that looked anything but human. Responding to the call, 2 officers arrived at the scene, acknowledging their nervousness about the situation. They spoke with the family, who reiterated their account of a large 10-foot-tall creature they'd seen. The officers shared that one of their colleagues had also witnessed something falling from the sky earlier that evening, only adding to the intrigue. The police's curiosity led them to question neighbors about any unusual sightings of objects falling from the sky. The investigation extended for several days, but ultimately, the Las Vegas Police Department declared the incident as unfounded. This extraordinary event is part of a growing trend in the study of unidentified aerial phenomenon, commonly referred to as UFOs. The Department of Defense has reported tracking more than 800 such cases over the past 27 years, with only a small percentage found to have plausible explanations. The mystery of the Las Vegas incident, like many others, leaves us with more questions than answers. Mysteries in the sky. In early October 2023, Maryland residents found themselves at the heart of an ongoing fascination with mysterious objects in the sky, which some have labeled UFOs. However, these unidentified phenomena have a new acronym, UAPs, or Unidentified Aerial Anomalous Phenomenon. This change in terminology and the increased attention from both the public and government officials stem from the release of compelling video recordings depicting these elusive objects. UAP sightings have surged in recent years, prompting a shift in public perception. Notably, Congress conducted oversight hearings earlier this year, acknowledging the need to address these aerial enigmas. The videos typically showcase nondescript objects exhibiting extraordinary speed and unusual flight patterns without any discernible propulsion method. Peter Davenport, who directs the National UFO Reporting Center, highlights the increasing number of reports and the government's growing interest in the UAP phenomenon. Maryland alone has seen 1,923 reported cases. While experts remain divided on whether UAPs have extraterrestrial origins, they universally agree that there should be no stigma associated with reporting these sightings. UAP sightings aren't unique to Maryland, as similar reports have surfaced worldwide, with particular concentration along the United States coasts, the Middle East, and the South China Sea. As the intrigue surrounding these phenomena continues to grow, NASA took unprecedented steps in September, calling for better data collection and further study of UAPs. While NASA Administrator Bill Nelson expresses personal belief in the possibility of extraterrestrial life, there are concerns about the potential risks UAPs pose to military and commercial aircraft. There's speculation about whether these mysterious sightings are part of surveillance efforts by nations like China or Russia, prompting national security discussions. Greg Facello, a Port Deposit, Maryland resident, shared his bewildering experience with CBS News, describing an object unlike any natural occurrence he'd ever witnessed. He said the craft appeared in the night sky as if it were a shooting star or a comet. He was outside plugging in his electric car when the UAP made itself known, hovering strangely low in the sky. He even went as far as to claim that it looked like it was created by some intelligent life form. The fascination with UAPs raises fundamental questions about what lies beyond our planet. And as researchers with NASA and other government agencies delve deeper into these mysteries, we hope to uncover more about the enigmatic phenomena that continue to captivate our curiosity. What are your thoughts on the possibility of extraterrestrial life in the universe? And do you believe that there's convincing evidence to support it? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. The alien bodies of Nazca. In September of 2023, Mexico witnessed a fascinating spectacle as 2 mummified specimens took center stage at the country's inaugural congressional hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomenon, commonly known as UFOs. Led by journalist and UFO researcher Jamie Moussan, a group of experts presented the mummified bodies, suggesting that these remains weren't of earthly origin. Their intention was to prompt the Mexican Chamber of Deputies to formally recognize UAPs, emphasizing the importance of airspace security and scientific study. The mummified bodies, originally discovered in 2017 in the sandy Peruvian coastal desert of Nazca, immediately captured attention due to their unusual appearance. Their shrunken, warped heads and desiccated forms left many in the chamber astounded and sparked a frenzy on social media. Moussan, while cautious not to label them extraterrestrials just yet, proclaimed these specimens as the queen of all evidence. He then urged that if DNA analysis indicated non-human origins and no earthly comparison, they should be treated as such. The mummy's underground resting place in Nazca, an area famed for its mysterious geoglyphs known as the Nazca Lines, added to the intrigue. And while these geoglyphs are traditionally attributed to ancient indigenous communities, they've long fascinated the imagination. Moussan asserted that the mummies provided clear evidence of non-human beings and that their DNA could be examined by any scientific institution if they thought otherwise. During the hearing, X-rays of the mummies were displayed, and experts noted that one of the bodies contained eggs. Congressman Sergio Gutierrez Luna emphasized that the Mexican Congress hadn't taken a stance on the claims made during the session. He stressed the importance of an open dialogue, allowing all voices and opinions to be heard. Congress members were left to decide for themselves whether to believe the presented argument. As you already know, the discussion on UAPs isn't unique to Mexico. Earlier in the year, a former U.S. intelligence community official testified about a purported covert government program focused on recovering and reverse engineering crashed alien spacecraft. But the Pentagon had previously stated that they found no verifiable information to support these claims. The growing bipartisan interest in UAPs, reflected in hearings and discussions, underscores the concern for national security posed by unidentified aerial objects. And while we remain uncertain about the origin and nature of these particular phenomenon, the quest for clarity continues on both sides of the border. A pilot's close encounter. In July 2022, Virginia pilot Julio Figueroa found himself in a situation that would become a remarkable memory in his aviation career. As an individual deeply passionate about flying from a young age, Figueroa had even served in the Navy to enhance his flight experience and become a more proficient pilot. After his Navy stint, he took up the role of a skydive pilot in the Midwest, and it was during one of these flights that something extraordinary occurred. On July 10, 2022, as Figueroa's plane ascended to 10,000 feet, a peculiar object caught his attention. Then, at around 4,300 feet, he spotted a spherical golden orb flying rapidly towards his aircraft from the left. What made his encounter particularly perplexing was the object couldn't be seen when looked at directly, a detail that's been noted by other pilots in their encounters as well. Describing the object as about the size of a small car, Figueroa found himself unintentionally turning his plane to the left as the object drew nearer. Startled, he let out a yell, prompting some of the people in the back of the plane, including one of the instructors, to look out the window and witness the unusual sight for themselves. However, by the time Figueroa managed to adjust his plane's trajectory, the object had already moved to the horizon, disappearing from view. Seeking answers, Figueroa contacted air traffic control, inquiring if they had any drones on the radar. But their response was that they had no drones on radar in the area at the time of the incident. Figueroa then made a second call, describing the object he'd seen, and once again, they couldn't detect it. His account echoed similar stories from pilots around the world who've experienced mysterious encounters. Figueroa remains vigilant during flights, keeping an eye out for any potential reoccurrences. With growing investigations into identified flying objects or UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomenon UAPs, such sightings may become increasingly common, intriguing aviation enthusiasts and researchers alike. astrophotography. In November of 2020, 29-year-old Lily Nova, a resident of St. Louis, Missouri, ventured into the world of astrophotography to alleviate her lockdown-induced boredom. But little did she know that this hobby would lead to a series of captivating encounters with extraterrestrial phenomena, drastically altering her perspective on reality. Nova now asserts that she experiences daily encounters with aliens, punctuated by sightings of various otherworldly objects. Her accounts include metallic ships, mysterious black triangles, and orbs exhibiting movements that defy conventional understanding. Her initial brush with aliens and UFOs left a lasting mark on her. She recalls the intensity of that movement when she locked eyes with a bright, hovering light in her neighborhood. As she began investigating, she realized that this was no ordinary occurrence. It was a bona fide UFO. In mere seconds, her field of vision revealed a second craft, closer than the first. Its triangular form then became unmistakably clear. These UFOs, she claims, executed impressive maneuvers that defied the conventions of typical aircraft before vanishing above her. This initial experience profoundly shook Nova, revealing a realm of aliens and UFOs that had previously scarcely occupied her thoughts. It marked a reality-shifting experience, entirely transforming her perspective on the world. Following this initial encounter, Nova reports that such incidents grew increasingly frequent, becoming a daily occurrence. What sets her experiences apart is her claim of seeing the beings themselves. Among her encounters, she describes a girl with light blue skin, bald with a skin-tight gray suit, surrounded by shipmates in matching attire. Another group of beings she encountered had light blonde hair, fair and radiant skin, and bright blue eyes. Nova believes that these beings may communicate with her through telepathy, gradually introducing her to their presence. She speculates that their gestures and actions during her encounters were a way of gauging her response and readiness, as they seem to acknowledge her recordings. Nova's extraordinary journey into the realm of alien encounters has left her with profound questions about the nature of these beings and the mysteries they bring to her life. Did you see the lights? In the early hours of September 7, 2022, southern Arizonans were treated to a perplexing spectacle in the skies. At approximately 5:20 a.m. in Tucson, an unusual object made its appearance, captured on the University of Arizona Hydrology and Atmospheric Sciences webcam. This mysterious object seemed to be gliding westward or northwest, flying at a seemingly low altitude. The intrigue deepened as the object vanished from view, only to be succeeded by another enigmatic presence descending from the far left of the camera's frame. For residents of Arizona, such anomalous sightings aren't entirely unheard of, as the state has established itself as a hotbed for unidentified flying objects. In fact, it ranks among the top 6 states for UFO reports, according to the National UFO Reporting Center. Nick Pope, a former UFO investigator for the British Ministry of Defense and a personality on the TV series Ancient Aliens, resides in Tucson and finds the recent footage particularly captivating. He expressed that it's rare for him to see a piece of footage that seems to capture 2 completely separate UFO events. He said, "It's like 2 for the price of 1. It's an amazing piece of footage and a great catch." Pope shed light on the investigative process typically undertaken by governments in the UK and the US when faced with such sightings. It commences with interviewing witnesses and collecting their accounts. And although this instance was picked up on a remote camera, reports of the phenomenon came in from various parts of the US. The second step involves engaging with the military, as military activities can sometimes account for UFO sightings, such as aircraft exercises or flares being deployed. Radar data also plays a crucial role in corroborating visual sightings. However, in a somewhat anticlimactic twist, similar objects were sighted over parts of Kentucky, which meteorologists attributed to SpaceX Starlink satellites. The Planetary Science Institute and astronomers then shared this assessment. Meteorologist Arden Gregory also assured the public that there was no cause for concern. Pope didn't seem to agree with this theory, though. He chimed in, surmising that the object moving at a steady and level speed likely appeared to be a satellite. But as for the second object, what seemed to be descending toward Earth, he suggested that it was probably a fireball meteor. While the prospect of aliens would be a thrilling explanation, he seemed to lean toward the more ordinary possibilities. Nevertheless, he playfully expressed, "But if we're going to make first contact, I would love it to be Tucson."
7. The hand cannon. In the 13th century, a revolutionary weapon made its debut on the battlefields of Europe and Asia, setting a pivotal moment in history. The hand cannon, one of the earliest known handheld guns, emerged as a crude yet groundbreaking weapon that would shape the course of both warfare and technology. The hand cannon was a simple but ingenious invention. It consisted of a metal tube with one end closed and the other left open. This open end served as the muzzle from which a projectile was launched. The weapon was suitably named the hand cannon, since it was fired by hand and held at arm's length to brace for possible explosive discharges. Loading the hand cannon was a straightforward but lengthy process. The shooter first inserted gunpowder into the muzzle, then the projectile, a stone or metal ball. To ignite the gunpowder, a wick or match was used. When the match was put up to the touch hole, a small hole located at the rear of the cannon, it set the gunpowder ablaze, causing a sudden and violent explosion. The force generated by this blast launched the projectile from the barrel towards the target. Early hand cannons were far from the precision instruments modern firearms have become. Accuracy was rudimentary at best. These weapons were typically used for short-range, close combat situations. The hand cannon's effectiveness was based on the force of the explosion and the psychological impact of the discharge. The hand cannon quickly established its place on the battlefield, adding a new dimension to medieval warfare. Infantry and cavalry units started incorporating them into their arsenals, and the early firearms saw action in conflicts across the world. The cannon's role eventually evolved from an intimidating close-range weapon to an instrument of siege warfare, helping breach through walls and fortifications. As the hand cannon's design and capabilities slowly improved, its impact on warfare became greater. Larger and more powerful versions popped up, capable of firing heavier projectiles and dealing massive damage. The hand cannon's early success soon led to the development of other guns, like the matchlock musket, which was a game-changer in the evolution of military technology. The hand cannon was still a major pioneering step in the journey towards the firearms we know today. While its design and operation may seem simple in comparison to modern guns, its significance in history cannot be overlooked. This simple yet innovative device marked the dawn of a new era in weaponry and set in motion the evolution of guns that would shape the course of technological progress. 6. The Wheellock Pistol. In the early 16th century, the Wheellock Pistol replaced the less reliable matchlock mechanisms of the time, providing a much more dependable and innovative ignition system. The innovation of the wheellock mechanism came through its elimination of the need for an open flame to ignite gunpowder. Matchlock pistols relied on a slow-burning match cord to ignite the powder, which was less reliable and also posed significant safety risks, especially in wet and windy conditions. The wheellock mechanism addressed these issues by introducing a more sophisticated and reliable ignition method. It featured a small wheel with serrated edges that could be wound and held under tension. When the trigger was pulled, the wheel rapidly spun, hitting a piece of iron pyrite to create sparks. These sparks ignited the gunpowder in the pan, leading to the firing of the projectile. The wheellock pistol had several advantages. It could be fired more quickly, making it a formidable self-defense option. Also, it eliminated the need for an exposed match cord, reducing the risk of accidental discharges. This made it a popular choice among nobility, who valued both personal protection and the elimination of the telltale sign of a lighting match which could give away their position. Despite its many advancements, the Wheellock pistol was a complex and expensive piece of equipment, limiting its widespread appeal. Still, it represented a crucial step in the development of firearms tech, paving the way for more efficient ignition systems. 5. The Knock Gun. The Knock Gun, designed by British engineer James Wilson in 1779 and named after its manufacturer Henry Knock, was a revolutionary departure from the typical firearm of that era. Its most striking feature was its 7 barrels, arranged in a horizontal cluster. Each barrel was loaded with both a musket ball and gunpowder, and each had its own pan and flintlock mechanism. Loading and firing the knock gun was a meticulous process. The shooter first had to prime each pan with gunpowder, making sure all touch holes leading from the bands to the barrels were charged correctly. Then musket balls were loaded into the barrels and the frizens closed. With all the barrels prepared, the shooter fired the knock gun by pulling a trigger that released all 7 hammers at once, striking the frizens and igniting the pans. The rapid chain reaction created a series of explosive discharges, sending a barrage of 7 bullets hurtling towards targets. The knock gun's unique design actually had a specific purpose in mind. The massed power and shock value it delivered made it the ideal weapon for naval boarding parties and defensive positions. It had the potential to incapacitate multiple assailants with a single shot, causing chaos and confusion among enemies. Despite its innovative design and success on the battlefield, the knock gun had its limitations. It was cumbersome and challenging to reload, and its effectiveness waned with longer ranges. Also, the knock gun became less prevalent as military technology quickly advanced. Do you have a favorite gun? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the video so far. 4. The Colt Single Action Army, the legendary Peacemaker. The Colt Single Action Army, or the Peacemaker, holds an iconic status in the pages of firearm history. Introduced in 1873, this revolver revolutionized handguns with its innovative design. It earned its nickname for good reason too. One of the most distinctive features of the Peacemaker was its single-action mechanism. This design let the shooter manually cock the hammer before each shot, rotating the cylinder and aligning fresh rounds with the barrel, significantly improving accuracy and firing speed compared to earlier double-action revolvers. The Colt Single Action Army was also chambered in .45 Colt, a powerful cartridge that became synonymous with the Old West. Its versatility, paired with the single-action operation, made it a favorite among cowboys and outlaws. The revolver became an essential tool during a period remembered by its harsh and challenging conditions. The Peacemaker played a significant role in shaping the American West. It served as the sidearm of choice for legends like Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, and Wild Bill Hickok. It was used in countless shootouts, from the famous gunfight at the OK Corral to fierce showdowns between lawmen and lawbreakers. The Colt's innovative design set the standard for future revolver generations and laid the foundation for the modern handguns we have today. Even as semi-automatic pistols have become more prevalent, the Colt Single Action Army holds a devoted following among collectors and those who appreciate its historical significance. The enduring appeal of this weapon lies not only in its role as a symbol of the American frontier, but in its reputation for reliability, precision, and representing the spirit of the Wild West. It's earned its place in firearms lore as the quintessential Peacemaker. 3. The Punt Gun. During the 19th century, hunters searching for waterfowl faced a unique challenge: how to effectively capture large amounts of birds in one shot. This problem gave rise to the creation of the Punt Gun, a colossal shotgun capable of delivering a payload of destruction. Mounted on small boats, the Punt Gun represented an interesting chapter in the history of hunting and gun design. The term Punt Gun has origins to the type of boat typically used to deploy this weapon. The Punt, a flat-bottomed boat with a square-cut bow, was perfect for maneuvering through the shallow waters where waterfowl often congregated. Hunters would silently approach their quarry, usually during the cover of darkness. The Punt Gun itself was a feat of oversized firearm engineering. These enormous shotguns had barrels of immense length, ranging from 8 to 14 feet, with a diameter of up to 2 inches or more. The size of the barrels let them be packed with a massive quantity of shot and gunpowder. When fired, the result was a thunderous explosion and a deadly hailstorm full of projectiles. The Punt Gun was designed with one purpose in mind: mass destruction. Waterfowl, especially ducks and geese, lived in large flocks, and the Punt Gun provided hunters with the means to target these birds efficiently. Firing the weapon created a cone-shaped blast that could cover a vast area. It was not uncommon for a single shot to yield dozens or even hundreds of downed birds. The Punt Gun gained popularity in regions with wetlands, like the eastern coast of the United States and the marshes of England. The practice of punt gunning, though, had far-reaching ecological implications. The wanton destruction of waterfowl populations and habitats led to concerns over conservation and the survival of some species. Over time, efforts were made to regulate the use of punt guns and protect the environment. As a result, the use of punt guns was slowly restricted, and they became less common as the 19th century drew to a close. Conservation measures and the rise of wildlife protection laws helped curtail the widespread use of these enormous weapons. Today, the punt gun remains an intriguing relic from a bygone era. 2. The Gyrojet Pistol. Designed by Robert Maynard and Art Beale during the early 1960s, the Gyrojet was a radical departure from typical handgun designs. What set the Gyrojet pistol apart was its propulsion system. Instead of relying on gunpowder, the Gyrojet used rocket propulsion. The ammunition, microjets, were essentially tiny rockets. Each microjet was a self-contained projectile with a solid fuel rocket motor, a primer, and a nose cap. When the trigger was pulled, the primer would ignite the rocket motor, and the microjet launched from the pistol. The Gyrojet's rocket-propelled rounds provided several advantages. They could travel at a consistent velocity, eliminating the need for rifling in the barrel. The absence of recoil made the Gyrojet more manageable and accurate, particularly for beginner shooters. Additionally, the Gyrojet's ammunition was designed to be less lethal upon impact, making it a safer option for certain applications. The Gyrojet pistol came in various models, including the Mark I and Mark II. They fired a wide range of ammunition, from small caliber rounds suitable for self-defense to larger caliber models mainly intended for military use. The futuristic design of the Gyrojet, with its distinctive rounded shape and fins on the projectiles, also mirrored the era's fascination with space and innovation. But despite its innovative design and the promises it held, the Gyrojet pistol faced several challenges. The microjets had a slower initial velocity than other bullets, which affected their accuracy and range. The technology needed precise manufacturing to ensure the ammunition's reliability. Also, the Gyrojet ammunition was more complicated and expensive to produce than conventional rounds. The Gyrojet pistol's commercial success was very limited. It never gained popularity among firearm enthusiasts or the military. The unconventional design and the challenges associated with rocket propulsion scared off potential buyers and users. 1. The Cornershot firearm system. The Cornershot, designed in the early 2000s by Lieutenant Colonel Amos Golan of the Israeli Defense Forces with help from American investors, has revolutionized the way law enforcement and military handle hostile situations. This weapon accessory was created to aid SWAT teams and special forces in addressing threats, especially those involving terrorists and hostages. Its main function is similar to that of a periscope rifle, letting its operator observe and engage an armed target while minimizing exposure. One of the key features that makes the Cornershot so versatile is its shooting range. It claims to be accurate and effective up to 100 meters, with common pistol calibers like the 9x19mm, 40 S&W, and 45 ACP. Also, it can achieve a range of 200 meters when using the 5.7x28mm pistol. The Cornershot comes in multiple models compatible with different semi-automatic pistols, like the Beretta 92F, Glock, Sig Sauer, and CZ, which are widely used by US security forces. What makes the Cornershot even more versatile is its ability to mount all kinds of accessories. These include detachable cameras, audio-video transmission kits, visible and IR lasers, tactical flashlights, and suppressors. It's even capable of firing less lethal ammunition like rubber bullets. With high-resolution digital cameras, the device serves as an effective surveillance tool, and it can operate in both day and night light levels. Future versions of the Cornershot will be mountable on the US M16 rifle and a European joint assault weapon, extending its adaptability even further. The system can also be remotely placed and operated from hidden positions, with a wire video out connection transmitting images to a commander at a distance, or saving them to a flash memory chip attached to the gun stock. The standard Cornershot model features a normal semi-automatic pistol mounted in the front section of the weapon, with a remote linkage to the trigger mechanism in the rear part. It has a 21 Newton trigger pull and measures 820 millimeters in length, weighing 3.86 kilograms. The Cornershot's groundbreaking design has made it an invaluable tool for law enforcement and military units, offering enhanced safety and precision in stressful situations. With its range of models and versatile features, it continues to be at the forefront of innovation in weapon technology. We've explored remarkable innovations and iconic designs that have shaped the way we perceive and use firearms. From the Wheellock Pistol's revolution in ignition systems to the legendary Peacemaker Colt single-action army, each firearm tells a different story. These creations reflect not only technological advancements, but the historical context in which they thrived. The pursuit of improved firepower, accuracy, and safety has led to the development of incredible weapons, each one a testament to human ingenuity. Thanks for watching, share your comments with us below, and don't forget to subscribe.